So let's see. All right, so we're going to get going here now that we have over 50 people hanging around. So we are really excited to be here. My name is Katie. This is Katrina. So I am the demand gen manager at Local Line. And Katrina is part of our marketing team as well. She's our customer marketing manager, but she also manages all of our social media accounts. So if you ever see something posted on social from us here at Local Line, that's Katrina. So she's going to be joining us today. So we're going to go through a few agenda items to start. As promised, we will have a large Q&A section at the end, which will be a great chance for you to ask questions. Please feel free to use the chat, use the Q&A function that you see on your screen. We'd love to hear from you. Feel free to go ahead in the chat right now and introduce yourself. Let us know where you're coming from. Maybe even how the weather is today. If you were on before we started, we were talking a bit about the lovely weather that we have here in southwestern Ontario right now. I'm trying to translate it to Fahrenheit in my head.
85. I did do this before.
85. If you can believe it, up here in Canada, it is 85 degrees or what, 26 degrees Celsius. So pretty nice here today. All right, so we'll dive in. So here's our agenda for the day. We're going to start by talking about why use social media. We're going to go through a couple of best practices for the audience. So these are going to be good ideas that apply across the board, regardless of which platform you're using. We're going to go then specifically into a couple of different platforms, some of the most popular platforms at the moment, and one that is relatively new, up and coming, a younger demographic is TikTok as well. We're going to be talking about that. And then we'll do some Q&A, and we're happy to do some demos. If anybody wants to ask for a demo of how to do something on social, we'll do our very best to get that up on the screen for you today. A couple of reminders before we get started. So one, you will be getting the recording for this webinar today. So look out for that. Our follow-up email usually goes out in the 24 hours following our webinar. We'll send you the recording of today's presentation, as well as some extra resources that we're going to talk about. So you'll be getting exclusive ungated access to one of our fantastic social media guides that we've just put out, the Social Media Essentials for Farmers, is our newest guide. So that's a good one to have. And a couple other resources we'll talk about during the presentation today. So why does it matter? Why does social media matter at all? Katrina, in our discussions about this webinar, we talked about it like it's no longer an option. It is a necessity for all businesses, small, medium, large businesses across the board need to be on social media if they want to successfully market their products. So here are three big reasons why you want to be on social media. One, increase brand awareness. What that breaks down to is you want people to be able to see your products. You want more people to know A, that you exist, and B, what you're selling. Being on social media is going to have the most eyeballs on your content, on what you're producing, on what you want to show off and market. That is where people, you can think of it like that's where people live these days, online. That's where you're going to find them. It's a great way to connect with your audience. In a COVID world, in a post-COVID world, this is going to be a new way that you connect. So maybe previously you've been connecting on market day with your customers and having conversations there. You've been connecting at your farm or at your roadside stop. You know, all the different ways that you connect with your audience in person, you're now doing on social media. So think of it as just one more way that you can connect with your customers. It doesn't replace in person. Obviously, we all love that, and it's all so important for business in general, but social media is one more avenue to connect with your audience. And the last one here, generating sales and orders. So if you are selling online, and we highly encourage you to do so, this is how you can go from someone who sees your your content or picture that you post or a story that you post, let's say on Instagram, can go directly to your website without having to leave their computer and order from you right away. So social media is where you can kind of capture someone's attention and drive it towards your site. So before we move on, I'll let Katrina jump in. Anything to add on that front before we get into best practices?
Yeah, just as a quick follow-up to what you were saying, like it's no longer an option for your business to be on social. And I think too, and the reason why we're doing this and what we're going to get into is it's not an option for you no longer to be on, or it's, you know what I'm trying to say, for you no longer to be on social. It's no longer an option for you not to be. But you need to now be really focused and really narrow down exactly, what you want to get out of your accounts. What are you going to post, and in order to get that, if your goal is to kind of like generate sales and things like that, like what exactly, how are you going to be doing that instead of just being present and being there? Now it's about doing that strategically.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we jump into best practices here, we do want to put a poll out there to everybody. So first question, what social media platforms are you using right now? So you can go ahead and vote on the poll on your screen if you can see it. If you can't see us, let us know in the chat here. Oh, good. There we go. We'll leave a few more seconds here for everyone.
And this is for your business, right? Like which ones are you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
On Twitter.
we have a few people there. All right, we'll share the results with all of you.
Or any, or don't use any. That's an option too. Actually, we didn't think of putting that on there.
That's true. If you're brand new to social media, we see you, we're here for you, we've got your back. So we've got about 59% are on Facebook. That's pretty average. Yep, lots of people on Facebook. It's sort of the go-to social media platform. It's usually, I think it was the first one that I was ever on personally. And Facebook again for the go-to. Yeah, it's a great place to, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but a great place to act as a central social media hub for your brand's presence. Great. All right. So some best practices.
Oh, can we share the results? How did we?
Oh yeah, I believe we did share the results on the screen there. So our audience would have seen it, I believe. Okay. Let us know again in the chat if you didn't see those, and we can share that too. Yeah. Great. So our best practices for today. First one I want to talk about is timing and consistency. So think about, when are your customers online? So we sometimes talk about, okay, when to post. So think about, if your audience is, maybe it's young families in the area. Maybe you're seeing a lot of young families who are maybe working from home, they're on their computers and they're ordering online. Their day is 9 to 5 in front of the computer. And usually we see people around that 3 p.m. slump start to kind of wander from their work and head onto social media. Across the board, this seems to be a trend. 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. is ideal. That's when your audience, if that seems to be kind of your key demographic, is online and looking at social media. It's when they have downtime. It's when they might be getting a little bit bored as well. I can say for myself, around 3 p.m. Yeah, I either need another coffee or a little break. So something to think about there. And how often should you post? We're going to get into this a little bit more with the individual platforms, but it's something to be cognizant of. If you're posting 10, 15 times a day, might be overwhelming your audience. If you're only posting once a week, you're maybe not giving them enough information. So finding a balance there. One, depends on the platform you're using. So Instagram versus Facebook versus Twitter. You might see a difference there, but otherwise, big rule of thumb, posting regularly is important. These platforms do favor consistency. So posting, 3, 4, 5 times a week is going to be in sort of that sweet spot for most of them, to pick up on the fact that you have activity on your account and on your channel. Next up, engagement. So I would say treat your social media as a community. Regardless of which platform you're on, people want to engage. They want to hear from you. So when they comment, liking that comment, replying, even if it's just a quick love this photo that someone's commented, even just throwing in a quick thanks, that's great. You can always do better with engagement. You can always be looking for different ways to connect with your audience through your social media channels.
And it's rewarded, like Instagram and all the platforms will reward your profile and your account in the post to push them kind of up the feed.
Yeah.
Your audience, if they do see that you're engaging as well as just posting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's storytelling. So adding captions to photos. I remember way back when Instagram and all that started, you just post a photo and you just leave it there. These days, that's not the case. So always adding captions to your photos that you're posting on Instagram, to what you're posting on Facebook. Twitter's maybe a little self-explanatory. It's all comments for the most part, but we really do encourage you to add captions and tell a bit of a story. If you have a photo of your farm, give a little background on what's going on in the photo, or what's going on in your farm. In our follow-up email, we can throw you some resources. We have a great 30 posts for 30 days resource where it's even just some copy and paste ideas that you can put in, that you can put on your social media channels. So hashtags. This is always a bit of a question. So a hashtag, for those who don't know, hashtag is the what used to be the number sign or the pound sign. People now refer to as a hashtag. So what it does is it groups topics together on social media. So you can see there I have the examples of local food, hashtag local food, or hashtag farming. And so you can use those to associate your posts with a bigger topic. So for instance, post a picture of your farm, say a little bit about that photo, and then your hashtags might be hashtag local farm, hashtag farming, or family farm. And that's going to associate your posts with other people who are posting on that topic. So I'm going to flip it over to Katrina at this point. I think I've talked enough to go through some more best practices with you, and feel free to comment on anything I've said so far, Katrina. I'm sure you could fill in the gaps way better than I could.
No, I'm about to just forever. I'm really going to have to be mindful because I could go on. So I will take over the next. Katie, if you want to flip over. So just some more best practices for social media as a whole, not necessarily for any specific platform, again, but just in general to keep in mind. So you want to have a goal and you want to have a plan. So what is your goal for your social media usage on any platform at all? Are you looking to drive sales? Is brand awareness what you're looking to do? Do you want to improve customer retention, or all of the above? And so understanding what it is you want from what you're posting is going to help you decide what it is you're posting. If you are looking to drive sales, maybe you want to make sure and check, how many people are going to the link in my bio to shop on my online store, to visit my website, and encouraging, each of your posts to kind of do that. If brand awareness is what you're looking to do, then you really want to be mindful of follows and impressions on each of your posts, and making sure that they can get in front of as many eyes as possible with hashtags, and tag a friend in the comments, things like that. If improving customer retention is important, then you want to encourage, things like comments and likes, and customer testimonials, and getting feedback on your stories and things like that. If it's all of the above, which it kind of should be on, on some level, then that's okay. And just understanding that will just help you know what it is that you want to post. Getting to know your audience kind of goes hand in hand with that. So understanding who you're trying to connect with and getting a clear understanding of your current customers will help you do that. But it's trying to be as granular as possible here. So, it's not just kind of who it is geographically, but where do they shop? How old are they? What life stage are they in? What's their income? Like anything at all that tells you exactly who that person is, or at least, different segments, kind of different buyer personas, then you can understand and know what and how you're exactly speaking to them. What is it that matters to them? What is it that they like to engage with? and that'll again help you with the content that you post. What platforms are you going to share on? We did see, I saw some comments when we're doing the poll to see how or which platforms are you a part of. You don't have to be on them all, and you don't have to spread yourself too thin. And if it's Instagram that you choose to do, or Facebook, that's awesome. You can put all your eggs in that basket, or choose to do the cross posting if you can. Being present maybe on each one if you know that your customers are on those platforms is great, but just spending your time most efficiently on the ones that you're going to get the most ROI out of is most important. And then lastly, as a best practice, using the right tools. So there are tools and apps that will help you maximize your time and plan and post your social content. I think being efficient and being able to batch your content creation and your posting and your hashtag strategy and things like that, like using Planoly, I think it's Planoly, I've never actually heard it spoken, but anyways, Planoly or Planoly will help you plan like your Instagram grid, and you can literally schedule it all out, and then you can do that kind of once a week, once a month. You can use Canva to create graphics, or put, post and shape your photos, do little videos later, and Hootsuite will also help you schedule out your posts in advance. So things like that will really help maximize your very limited time on social.
And we can definitely speak to that. Being on a marketing team, it's an absolute game changer to be able to plan all of that out ahead of time. And like we said, we will send all of these resources out. So in the follow-up email, you'll get links to Planoly, Canva, later Hootsuite, all of that. So you can go and check those out. I know that everybody except for Hootsuite has a really great free.
No, Hootsuite does too.
Do they have? Oh, yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
So they'll have a free version of their software to go and try it out. And for most people, that free feature is enough to a certain point. So
yeah, Hootsuite it's a free subscription, like totally free, but your only limit is 30 posts a month, which, I mean, geez, that's that's plenty, right? Like
a good number.
Yeah, that's great. So they're really great, and even if they do cost a couple of dollars a month, it's very much worth the investment to do that. Those are our polls. We got those answers before. That's great.
I definitely jumped ahead on that one.
No, you know what? It's great to know. I'm glad we did. Okay, so Facebook and Instagram, to be mindful of time. These are huge, like the two biggest platforms. I might have to I don't want to fly through this, but it's almost overwhelming the amount of information that you could share about Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to do a little bit more of a deep dive on a strategy that you can use for Instagram. This is also applicable to Facebook. So keep that in mind as I go through Instagram. But these are the two. I mean, if you are already using Facebook and or Instagram, Instagram specifically, if your account is a business profile, you will need a Facebook page to kind of authorize that and make sure that it is a business profile, which just means that you get some deeper insights and some more information about how people are interacting on your posts. But yeah, so these are the two. These are the two you might want to be on. But one method that we like to use and do kind of preach is this Instagram 5. So the key to an effective Instagram page, really social in general, is consistency. And I know that Instagram is kind of, can be like a museum-like, and some feeds are very curated and so beautiful, and all of the colors, it just looks like, I don't know how people do that, but it's not just that consistency that I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when somebody lands on your page, they should know exactly what it is that you share. And if you're going to share, what we talk about this Instagram 5 is, step one is choosing 5 categories for your page. So let's say you choose things, like farm life and your products and etc. When somebody lands on your Facebook page or any of your profiles really, or your Instagram, I should have said, they should know exactly what it is to expect from you. And number 2, you want to decide then what type of content or what types of content will fall then in each of those categories that you choose. And I'm going to go into each of these in the following slides. And then step 3 is to create a pattern. And when I say pattern, I really mean like how frequently are you going to post each of these pieces of content or each of these category types. Maybe one means more than the other. I'll go into each of those. So if you don't mind, Katie, just flipping to the slide following. So choosing your categories is really like, what do you want to share? What does your audience need to see from you? What do you want to share with them? Again, answering those questions that we talked about before with the goals and getting to know your audience. So maybe, 5 examples could be, family, life on the farm, our animals. It can confirm that everybody loves animal videos. So you can never go wrong with that. Recipes, which is a great way to, incorporate your products if that's something, if you do have food products, and product promotions. So if you kind of notice, it's kind of like this 80-20 rule. So focusing, a little bit more on the entertainment and kind of behind the scenes and all the whole, aspects of your business. And then products can be like that 20%. Products should always be one of these segments, but you want to kind of round it out by choosing 5. And this can be anything that, matters to your business. It doesn't necessarily have to be these 5. And so when I talk about the content types that fall into each category, what I mean by that then is it video? Is it a graphic? These are examples from our social media, or from our Instagram account, I should say. So we do have a mix of video, we have some graphics, maybe graphics might not be applicable to your business, and we do have some photo posts, or we do some carousels, and that's where you can do more than one photo in one Instagram post. And so this might be, it's really key that you do a mix of, video and static posts. But maybe you might decide what's best for you is, maybe life on the farm isn't something that you need to necessarily include in your actual feed. And maybe that's, videos that you just do on stories, or, maybe all of your photos are going to be of your product. And, product shots are really going to be, what drives it home is these product shots. And instead of video, that's what you're going to use. So again, this is really going to be specific to you and your business. But having a mix of video, which is very engaging, and photo posts, in addition to having not just category in terms of what the content is, but on the elements of each social media platform, where it's stories, it's the posts, it's now with Instagram, IGTV and Reels. If you're kind of, new to Instagram, I think just you're sticking to, maybe just Reels and posts and stories, which sounds a little bit daunting. We can definitely, and I did plan on going into demos in the Q&A. So again, if you're not totally familiar, but yeah, just having a mix of both, and it would be really great, again, for engagement, and gives you an opportunity to share a little bit more about your business, give people, behind the scenes look. So yeah. It's not easy to do though, trust me. I know when I say like, do video, it's great. No, I know there's a lot that goes into it, and I'll talk a little more about that when it comes to TikTok. But then the step 3 then is creating a pattern. And again, so deciding how frequently and when you're going to share each of these posts. So actually on the second one, I probably should have flipped these around, but on the second example there, I've shown every category is, actually in a pattern. It goes family, product, animals, recipe, farm, and then it repeats. And so that way you're kind of giving everything, an equal real estate on your feed, because each of these is really important to you. But maybe if you wanted to focus more on product and everything else might live in stories, you maybe focus every other post is on your products. And this will all depend on how frequently you post too. So if you want to do those 3 to 5 posts a week, maybe you can do, one, if you're going to do 5 posts a week, maybe you can do 1 of each category in that week. Or if you want to do, twice a week, then maybe you want to focus a little more on products, because you want to get product in front of people as much as possible. So these are very high level, but I think very good ways to plan the content. This is a helpful way for you to, again, if you're using those tools like Planoly or Hootsuite or Later, where you can see your feed before it actually goes live and you can plan what you're going to share. This is a good way for you to be proactive and understand what's going to be, it's less, you're being strategic here. You're knowing what you want to share. You can see it before it goes out. So it's not just about how you want it to appear once it's published, but this is a way for you to really be on top of what it is that you're sharing with your audience. And some content ideas, which, so Katie mentioned that we have the social media essentials for farmers guide. We have like a list of 30 Instagram captions or Instagram ideas where you can literally copy and post. And so things like, product of the week or the month. Maybe you can share your morning routine, or a Meet the Farmer series, or maybe once a month you do something like an IGTV, or you do a stories where you jump on and you just share a little bit more about yourself or the team. User-generated content is another good way. That could be one of your 5. If you have a lot of posts, or you encourage your customers to post, their products after they've bought them, or, of the market, or anything at all that you encourage people to post, if they do share that and tag you in it, then you can just reshare that to your own audience as well. And that's a really great way to engage with your audience, both on and offline. Maybe life on the farm, you could do it a series like Fridays on the farm, photos of planting season, you can do that as a seasonal thing. So yeah, we've kind of gone a little bit more, in depth, where you can do like a copy and post where you have actual captions and things like that for each of these different ideas. But it sometimes can be hard to come up with what you want to post. Again, knowing what it is you want to share and what you want to get out of your account will help you. But here's some here.
These are some great ideas.
Just a few, right? Like you can really go on.
Yeah, you can, like we always talk about here at Local Line, like letting people in on the experience, letting people in on what you do and what goes into producing the food that you sell. Like that's, as a consumer, that's what I'm interested in when I buy from a farmer, is like how is this all produced? How does this work behind the scenes? And it generates that sense of connection with your audience. And one thing I think I'd like us to kind of answer. I saw a couple questions coming in. So Katrina, if you don't mind, do you mind if I throw you kind of two super on subject questions here about Instagram? The first one is from Heather. So thanks, Heather. Please talk more about what should be in an Instagram story versus what should be in a regular post. And I know there's a section on this in our guide, but yeah.
Okay. I have some thoughts on this, but Katie, also jump in if you have something to add. Stories, because they disappear after 24 hours, those can be a little bit more timely, and you can kind of jump on and do things a little more off the cuff. If it's in a post that's going to live in your feed, I mean, seemingly forever, unless you want to later delete it. But I think that if it's something that is more evergreen, and it is a product photo or anything about, like, behind the scenes, where you want it to live in your feed, where people who jump on your page, land on your page, and get to know more about you. If it's more of that evergreen content, I think it should live in as a post. You can always share that post to your stories and do that, where it can live in the stories. But if it's something, a live or a morning routine, or, you just want to get on and share a little bit about what's going on in the moment, or, we just got to the market and we're unpacking our, orders for the day, or if you did create, that's a whole other thing. If you did online orders is what I was thinking. But yeah, so anything that is in real time would be really applicable to stories. And then posts are more evergreen, to summarize. Katie, what do you think?
I totally agree. Yeah, usually we here look at our posts. We call it the grid on Instagram. We look at our grid posts as stuff that we want, no matter who they are, that ends up on our Instagram account, to see that. I often like to say that those posts are more infotainment. So you see it, it looks nice, it's a great photo, so it's pleasing for someone to look at. And then it gives some information in the caption as well, to guide someone around what your business is about when they land there. And then stories are really that personal touch. It might just be like Katrina said, doing a little shout out to your audience that day as you get to the market, to say, hey, just setting up here. So excited to see everybody today at such and such market. We've got some great online orders, come and pick it up. Those are always great things to put in stories. They're quick, they're easy, and stories, as well as TikTok and a couple of other of these pieces of these platforms that are kind of off the cuff, they're supposed to be casual, informal. So next question is kind of along those same lines. So it's from Melissa. So, hey, Melissa, check out Melissa's success story. Melissa Ballard from, from Bluegrass Beef. So, hey, she says, so Reels, can you tell us how they work and how to do them? So Reels is a feature on Instagram.
Reels was introduced to combat or to compete with TikTok. So it's a 30-second limit where you can do a video, and people typically put it to music. There are captions with it too. So it is kind of that, I see it as that mix between a post and a story, where it is just a little bit more of an engaging post that is a video. It does live in that Reels column on Instagram, but it can also live in your feed. Yeah, that's
maybe maybe we could dive into a little bit of the how-to. I know we could probably talk about, like, well, you can film the video ahead of time. I just want to get that out there. That was when I started using Reels, I was like, am I going to have to just like crank this out, just film this and then it goes up? No, not the case. You can film ahead of time. And then I'll let Katrina get into more of the specifics about like adding words.
Melissa, we should put something together and I should get back to you because I just do the pre-uploaded because it is such a, like, it is a little scary for me. Like I'm more comfortable, I guess, doing them on TikTok and then exporting it and I'll put it on Reels, but we'll do our videos ahead of time and we have the captions and everything like that. And then we just put it up on Reels. Like, you don't have to do anything. So I've actually never used Reels in real time. I have to be honest.
Fair. And that's, to be honest, that's what a lot of people, at least from the marketing side, are doing, because it allows you to actually control a little bit more. And if you do the video ahead of time, you have a little bit more control with some easier ways of editing and cropping the video and all of that. But I will say Reels, they do have a 30-second limit. So that's something to note. So it can be a quick video. It can be something that you may have already shared on your story. You can pop that into Reels. And so that allows people, when they're just scrolling through the search function of Instagram, so the discovery function, they can stumble across that video. Only someone who follows you is going to stumble across your story, but someone who doesn't will need you to be putting stuff on Reels to find you, just through that discovery and through the associated hashtags you add. So something to note, it's a great way to grow your following. It's just by consistently putting a little reel up there and maybe having that mirror what you had on your stories that day. So, all right, so good to move on. We'll move on to good old Facebook.
I'm going to, real quick before I do that, sorry, Lee, you just asked a question about the demographic for TikTok. I will get into it. The short answer, it's like 50% of people are under 30, but that's not to say that it's majority. It is a younger app, but and you cannot geotag it. I will get into the details, but the short answer, your videos are shown to people kind of within your geographic region, kind of by default, but I'll answer that. Sorry, I saw that and I needed to, I didn't want to get buried. Okay, so Facebook, I'm glad I didn't put so much here, but the thing is that what you can share on Instagram, in the same vein, you can share and should be sharing on Facebook. And if that is your platform of choice, if you think that Facebook is something that you want to be on solely or in addition to, kind of what I shared on regarding Instagram and kind of how you want to plan your content, is you should be applying that to Facebook as well. So the way that Google is and how your business should be on Google as like the digital hub, like the digital yellow pages where you should be on Google to be found, you want to think of Facebook as like the social hub of your business, even if you aren't really using it actively. And even if you are, but you want to optimize your page with all of the basic information, keep it branded as well. You want to have a cover photo, you want to have a profile photo, use the chat bot. You can customize the automated responses in the chat bot. You should have your about information filled out, hours of operation, your website, anything else that's applicable. Make sure that it's on Facebook, because people will look for you there kind of maybe before they go anywhere else. And it is an easier way to bring up your business page. And again, planning your content mix using the 80-20 rule. So, having a mix of educational, informative, entertaining content, and also then the 20% being your products or your business, and then using a mix of those posts, those stories, and then Facebook Live. So whereas Instagram has all these different formats of videos, where they have the IGTV, which is a 10-minute long video, or is it 30 minutes? Maybe 10 minutes. And then 30 seconds for Reels and everything like that, and stories. Then Instagram, you do post stories, and then you can jump on Facebook Live too, if that's something that you do want to do in real time. That's something I'm going to take it up. Sorry, when I'm speaking, I got to turn off the chat because I get super excited and distracted, and I want to kind of do all the things. I'm going to now stop talking and flip it over to Katie, where she's going to quickly touch on Twitter.
Oh, no worries. This is such great information. Like, I love these types of webinars because I feel like I learn something new that we just haven't talked about yet. And I love it. There's so much possibility with social media, and so many new things that are coming out every day with updates that I would say are more exciting than scary at the end of the day. It's just more opportunities to reach out to your customers in better ways. These platforms are really good at listening to their users and changing the way that their platform works so that it works better for their users. So that's just my little thing there. So Twitter. Personally, Twitter is one of my favorite places to get information. I'm definitely within its target demographic, absolutely. So we're going to go through a couple of facts here. So first and foremost, there are 330 million monthly active users and 145 million daily users on Twitter. So there's a lot of people on there. Second thing, 59% of users are also using Twitter as their news source. So something that Twitter does really well is it has a news section where people can follow different news outlets, as well as it kind of conglomerates the big news items of the day. So you think about it, about 60% of people are also going there for their news. They're also going to be keeping their eyes on that platform maybe afterwards. Like I sit with my coffee and I check the news every morning, and then I check my feed and see what's active. So something to consider with Twitter is that people might be looking at it at slightly different times than some of the other platforms. They might be looking at it first thing in the morning, if that's where they're getting their news, for instance. So something to keep in mind. I'm just seeing here in the chat, if you miss anything or you want us to go back, just let us know exactly what you want to hear and we can absolutely go back. Or also, and I just sent this to someone in the chat, if you follow the join link that you used to log into this webinar, about half an hour after the webinar is done, you'll be able to follow that link again to access the recording. That's only for everybody who showed up today. So we'll circle back to anything as best we can, or we'll address it in the questions if you want to drop it in there. And the last thing about Twitter, the largest age group is 25 to 34. So I'll just say I'm somewhere in that age group. And that's about 25%. So about a quarter of users are within that age group and everything else is kind of split. So Twitter, I would say, is a great complementary social media platform. I would say if you're just starting out or if you're looking to zero in on your presence, focus on Facebook, second, Instagram, and then if you're looking to branch out to a third, Twitter is great. The nice thing is with a lot of social media platforms these days, when you post to Facebook, you can reuse that post on Twitter to reach maybe a slightly different audience on Twitter, and to just maybe reuse some of your content so that you're not having to do, 3 separate posts every single day. We do that as a brand. We'll cross post, as it's called. We'll post something on Facebook. We will also post it on Twitter so that message is getting out to 2 different channels. That's a great place to start. Twitter is, all said and done, a place where conversation happens. So think of it as very conversational. You have direct access to some big brands. You can like and comment on what they post. You have direct access to your followers on Twitter. And it's a nice place to give those updates, those day-to-day updates about the business, about maybe a product that you're going to be carrying at that week's market. Twitter is a great place for that. So a couple is here for farmers and food producers. So like I said, targeting new demographics, young families. That is honestly, when I look at who I know are buying and wanting to buy local, well-produced food, it's young families. And where do they fit in that demographic? 25 to 34 for the most part. So they're going to be on Twitter. Like I said, you can join the conversation and using those hashtags. So using, for instance, hashtag local food, farming, sustainability. You can see on the screen here, Twitter has the search function at the top. You can search for those keywords and you can go through and follow or comment or like on what other people are talking about and then make connections that way. So like I said, quick updates about your business, new features, daily specials. I'm going to skip this next one and come back to it. Something about photos on Twitter. So when you share a photo along with whatever you're tweeting, it's 50% more likely to be interacted with. I think we can safely say in the social media world that photos and video are king or queen. They are more interacted with because it's visual. Humans are visual creatures. We want to see something more than just words a lot of the time. And we like to talk about trying to stop someone's thumb as they're scrolling. Photos and video will stop someone's thumb because it's more engaging to look at. Something to consider there as well. Live tweeting. My biggest recommendation here is that if you're at market days, live tweet your market day. Talk about, we have X number of bunches of asparagus left. Get yours before they're gone. You can add a little bit of urgency there if you have followers on Twitter by letting them know what you have left, what you have in stock, and to hustle themselves to the market and pick that up, or direct them to order online and secure their bunch of asparagus for the day. And before I switch this over to Katrina for TikTok, which I'm really excited for, there's a comment here from Lee, and they say, I can see value for farmers connecting to news hashtags on Twitter around farming practices and could be used as a way for them to become a specialist or expert. Absolutely a great point. When you engage with that conversation on Twitter, as a farmer, I think we all consider you an expert in your field. So commenting on those news articles, giving your opinion on something that's come out in the news about farming practices, sustainability, permaculture, there's a ton of options there for you to get your voice out into the community as an expert. And in turn, on the side, that will drive business to your presence. People will be looking into who you are, what you do, what you sell. And that's a great way to engage in the conversation. So I'll switch this over to Katrina at this point for good old TikTok.
Are you ready for TikTok?
I'm not ready for TikTok.
All the time, like we're Local is kind of on TikTok, but we really need to spend a little bit more time. But someone who is always on TikTok is me, and I am a consumer of this content every day. It is every day. So actually, Katie, if you want to flip to the next slide, not that it matters, I guess each one I'm just going to kind of speak to, but if you are not yet on TikTok by actually on the app, a lot of the videos that you're seeing, I'm sure on Reels or on Instagram are pulled from, or at least the ones that I see are pulled from TikTok, and I can tell that they have that TikTok watermark sometimes. So from a marketing perspective, really what TikTok is all about is just that brand awareness and just eyeballs on your content. And it is almost purely just about entertaining people on this app. There is no way. I've shown a screenshot there of, you can search farming or whichever, you can search something, and based on the hashtags, that's a way that people can view your videos. But other than that, I mean, it's just one continuous feed of videos, and there's no way to link anything from a particular video. Some people on Instagram have to swipe up, or obviously in Facebook and Twitter, you have a link right there in your post. But on TikTok, you can include a link in your bio of your website, and that's pretty much it. So it's all about that engagement. It's all about videos. It's a very, very visual platform. It is growing like crazy. It is absolutely wild, the popularity of TikTok. It's kind of one of those things where it's I don't know, I know it's big and I don't really want to get into it yet, but I know it's something that eventually we're going to have to come around to. So I can get into some of the numbers, which are pretty staggering. There's almost 700 million monthly active users worldwide on this app, and nearly 100 million of those are in the United States. I think I did it. Yeah, it was 50 million. 50 million US users are on the app every single day. It is, so I mentioned this earlier, the majority of these users are under 30 years old. So 50% of them are over 30, but a huge, staggering amount are under 30. So it can be very Gen Z focused, or young millennials. It is one of the top apps. It was one of the top apps downloaded in March 2021. And the next bullet point is the second biggest app in consumer spend. In and among YouTube, and actually Disney Plus was in there too. But yeah, so while your business might not be actually advertising on this app, you might not be running, promotions and things like that. Maybe you might, but maybe not initially. It just goes to show that many people are on it, and they're taking action, and they're seeing things that they like. Yeah, so that's just some insight into TikTok. And sorry, I'm going to go way more into it. I'm talking about the numbers. Okay, if you want to flip to the next one. So some ways to get started, some 3 tips with getting started is number 1, just to familiarize yourself with this app. If you aren't yet on it, or even if you are, what are others posting in your space? What are others posting in general? How are they posting? I recommend that you create like these draft videos just to get comfortable. There are so many filters and features and captions and stickers and things like that, and sounds that you can use on TikTok. And there is a little bit of a learning curve. In the guide that we talk about, the social media essentials, we do have a step-by-step of like how to, create and post and get a video from like content creation to published. But yeah, I recommend that you can create drafts and just save them as drafts. I do that a lot of the time with my own personal profile before we do them to like the Lookline, for example. So yeah, I recommend doing that just to kind of get yourself comfortable. It's worth it to have a specific topic. Again, when I talked about Instagram, when you want to have that consistency and your social media profiles, where somebody lands on your profile, they want to have an understanding exactly what you're sharing. Same applies for TikTok. So you want to, in this case, it's easy because it's about your business. I mean, some people will, do calligraphy of someone's name. Maybe they did it one time and everybody just loved it. And now it's like, well, that's my account now. And I'm just going to post, pictures or videos of me writing someone's name. But some of them are incredibly niche. But so just, sharing videos all about your business, that's what your account will be about if you do choose to put your business on TikTok. And then the third is creating a schedule and sticking to it. So like every other platform, the consistency is key. TikTok will reward you for posting consistently. There are some top creators I've read that post about 10 times a day, which is absolutely bananas. But I recommend starting off slow. If you can only commit to maybe 1 or 2 times weekly, do that and go from there. But yeah, just being consistent with your usage on the app will reward you. So some content ideas. Then next is everyday life. Just again, a day in the life. These are the most, it's so informal and you have that flexibility just to do a 1-minute video of, you talking about everyday life, just walking, through your morning, calming videos. Do you know how many videos there are of somebody like decorating a cake or just like packaging up your product? Actually, I mentioned that before. Like it's so mundane and they're just so calming with some nice music. That's it. It's not, it's time consuming to create these things, but you don't really have to put too much, production behind it. Story times is another really big piece of content on TikTok. And that's just somebody sitting down and talking and telling a story. And that's it. It sometimes feels like you're on FaceTime with these content creators where they're just sitting out on their back deck or they're, just having their morning coffee and it literally you're just talking, they're talking right to you. You can do voiceover videos where you're just maybe like packaging up a product or you're doing anything at all and you can do a voiceover of it afterwards. So just like a tutorial, maybe I mentioned that there too, some before and afters. Animals are big. I don't care what the content, if it's an animal doing anything at all, like you've got my attention, I'll watch the whole video and send it to my friends. So it's just some ideas, and we do have more in the guide. And a couple of quick best practices on the next slide then for TikTok. Very, very top level. Again, you guys, this is so we could go into probably each of these apps on its own webinar, but being authentic is the name of the game for TikTok. It is all about imperfection and being real. Like I said, people who are just sitting down and telling a story, it's engaging and it's so real. You just sit there and watch and listen to somebody and you can just talk about your business, how you got started, what you really love about marketing. It doesn't matter. Like just, yeah, that is great to be able to not have to put so much work in. Videos are not easy. And so being able to batch your filming and editing is key because you need to maximize your time if you're doing and producing video content. It is a little more time consuming. So maybe, so I have there record content for more than one video. Maybe you want to do a day in the life voiceover of you packaging up some online orders and tutorial video or just a calming video. Like you can do that all in like the one morning and know that that's what you want to record. Kind of just take your phone with you, take footage of all of this, and then later at one time just batch edit all of those and maybe get like 3 videos out of that, one morning where you took just footage of your day. So just making sure you're maximizing your time as much as possible is key. Keeping up with trends is another big one. There are so many trending videos and kind of like memes, but they're memes to sounds. So just if you do want to jump on those, just take advantage of it at the time when they come up. And it usually is within a matter of days that they kind of come and go and you don't really know when they're going to happen. So Evergreen content is also great, but if you do want to keep up with the trends, that is something you might want to jump on. And using hashtags. So I did talk about this earlier, but using hashtags is a way for people to search for your content. It's kind of the only way for someone to search for your content. So be very mindful of what exactly you want to include in your videos. So it'll help get in front of the right people. Oh, I wanted to leave some time for Q&A, but this bottom line, what I wanted to say is that it does sound like a lot of work, and it is a little bit of a foreign concept right now with TikTok. It is a little new, but it's absolutely worth the time for a few reasons. Video is engaging. Everybody loves video. You can repurpose that video for your other socials. So instead of creating content for Instagram and then separate content for TikTok, and then maybe doing a video for Facebook, if you do one video on TikTok, if that's what you want to do, maybe you're posting on TikTok and you're also getting to just save it to your phone, just upload it to your other devices, which is like perfect. The other thing too is that, so Lee, going back to your question earlier, even though there's no way to geotag your videos, and I do personally, you will see videos from people, all over, North America for me personally, but I do see a lot of content, and you will see a lot of content from your region. So I see a lot of videos from Toronto, from Southwestern Ontario in general. So TikTok knows where you are. They know what you're engaging with. And so I know that your businesses are very local focused, but that'll still apply on an app that has 50 million users, daily, and 100 million in the US on a monthly basis. So it is worth the work that you put into it. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's just a different side, a human side to your brand, which of course is totally your brand anyways, but it's just another, fun, engaging side of that. Katie, if you want to jump in, I've just kind of been talking at.
No, this is all really great stuff. And, the thing to remember, I think you said at the end there, is that it might seem overwhelming, but there's reason to be spending time on this. We'll go through a couple of quick takeaways after we have a quick poll here that I just want to put out to everybody before we move on. So are you using TikTok for your business right now? So yes, no, and my personal favorite, I'm afraid of it. That's where my vote would go. Sometimes.
Okay, I have a quick, I'm so sorry, go ahead.
No.
TikTok is terrible. You know what? I downloaded it, and I'll be honest with everybody, this was like a March 2020 download where I was like, all right, we're home. I can't go anywhere. Let me just see what this app is all about. What I was going to say too, another reason to justify using TikTok is the way that people use the app is a lot of the videos are shown primarily on their explore page, which is called the For You page. So similar to Instagram, where you have your feed of those accounts that you follow, and then you have that explore page, which I don't know if many people go on there. Like I do, but I kind of just go on there to search. And then when I'm searching for something, I happen to see something that catches my eye, but I don't necessarily browse the Explorer. That might just be me. So TikTok is another way to get more eyeballs on your content for Instagram and things like that. You can actually link an Instagram. I should have mentioned that earlier. You can link a website, you can link your Instagram. So maybe there are people who wouldn't have otherwise found you on Instagram or Facebook, and now they're being introduced to you on TikTok because they're seeing your videos show up in their feed sporadically.
I love these results. This is great. So no, 58%. I'm afraid of it, 42%. Yes, goose egg, nobody. So I'm glad that you're here. If let's say you have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, maybe Twitter, try TikTok out, give it a go. If you're looking to hone in on something new to get more people looking at your social media channels and in turn on your products and on your business, give TikTok a go. It's the fastest growing social media platform out there. You're going to be targeting a younger crowd who can become a repeat buyer for many, many years. Another thing to consider as well is that young people are interested in local food and sustainability more now than ever in history. Gen Z and some of what we like to call our younger millennial friends, I sit kind of in the middle. We are more concerned with these things than previous generations, and we'll do the research into where our food comes from. So again, telling your story in as many ways as possible, including on TikTok, is in your best interest in terms of social media marketing. So I'll stop sharing that, but we'd love to hear if someone from this webinar gets on TikTok and starts using it. Shoot us an email. Let us know how it's going. We'd love to hear that.
And now I hope this was somewhat of a good introduction. I didn't realize that like absolutely nobody was on it. And I thought, oh, it's still kind of new. We should maybe talk about it. But I hope it was valuable to some. If I should never talk about TikTok again. But I think it's a great great to know, right? Like it is, it's growing. So
yeah, awesome. So we're going to dive into some Q&A. We have a couple minutes here. As long as you all on the call are good with going a little over time, we're happy to go a little over time to answer some of your questions. We have some great ones here. So I'm just going to start with one that I wanted to address from the beginning. What if this whole digital marketing or social media marketing thing is just outside of your grasp? You know, it's going to be a lot of work to familiarize yourself with maybe even using the internet to advertise your business. You're just not familiar with all of this. How are ways that you can get help with that? Someone suggested, students or mentors who can help you with getting online and getting on social media. You know what? I'm going to say something that will hopefully be of use. There are many, many students who are probably or potentially not as well employed for the summer coming up because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Reach out to your local college, reach out to if you're in Canada, local university, give them a shout and see if you can find a student who's looking for a summer job, and they can help you get your social media presence up. It's a great idea. I've used summer co-op or summer intern students before, and honest to goodness, the hardest workers I've ever worked with before are active students. So something out there, give your local college a call. They can probably point you in the right direction to a student in need of some summer employment. So that's my PSA for the day. Support your local college, local university that way.
Good point.
All right, I'm going to pick out a couple. Do you mind if I just lob them over to you, Katrina? And
yeah.
All right. So, that's a tricky one. Any tips on selling animal products on Facebook? We all sort of know that there are some restrictions around that and that Facebook auto flags a lot of those. How do you make a product stand out on Facebook Marketplace? How do you advertise them to begin with? We've definitely come up against this before.
Okay, that one I'm actually going to flip back to you because you answered this really well when we did the Facebook AMA. And with the animal products, I wasn't specifically something I'm super familiar with. So I think.
Well, I'll give the answer I gave on the AMA is that, yeah, Facebook does flag those advertisements. If you're talking about, let's say you have a batch of chickens and you're trying to sell them. So Facebook flags that as the selling of animals. So the selling of animals falls into a particular category for Facebook that you're not allowed to do it on its platform. Well-intentioned by Facebook, it was meant to cut down on people who are selling dogs and cats, or especially dogs, through puppy mills and all of this. So again, well-intentioned, but it does limit meat producers for sure. I would say instead of using Facebook to advertise and sell your products, use something like Local Line to have an online store where you can still sell online, and use Facebook to market your business. So when you post on Facebook, even when you pay for ads on Facebook, make it about your business, make it about the story. Talk about how you raise your animals well, talk about the land that you're on, talk about your family story, and that will not be flagged, but it will still gain the interest of the people that you're wanting to sell to. So they can follow that ad through, or that post on a community group through to your website where they can still buy online. That's the goal there. And that's, I'd say, the easiest way to get around that Facebook restriction. And at this point, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I run up against it in the equine industry. Buying and selling horses on Facebook, that's a thing that does occur. So, you want to make sure that you're really pointing people to your business instead of directly advertising something through Facebook Marketplace. All right, next one up. And again, we'll take just probably 5 more minutes here to get through these questions, and then we'll hopefully give a little bit more in the follow-up email if we can. So, engagement on stories. It seems useless to spend time doing them because they don't allow engagement beyond likes and messages. People can message. I personally don't bother looking at them. 99% of people won't bother. So I would say that this is a really, really good question here about why stories matter. So I'll flip that over to you, Katrina.
From my experience and what I see with stories, again, it's just that indication that you're spending time on the app and that Instagram recognizes that and kind of rewards you by showing your posts and anything else that you do kind of the top of the feed for people who follow you. And so just regularly, even if you just post something in your feed and then you just share it right to your stories, you don't necessarily, if you don't have the time to do stories specifically, because you're right, it is a whole other, when you're on Instagram, you're doing like posts and stories and things. So it's just, it is a lot. So if you don't see any real return, but you do still want to kind of just increase the engagement on your feed, you can just kind of share your posts right to your stories and just kind of add a little bit else to it. But yeah, it's not, I mean, you're right, it's not a huge, it does have the ability for people to DM you and have those likes, but.
Yeah, and something else I'd say about stories is that like we do know that once you reach approximately 10,000 followers, you're able to get a swipe up feature on stories, which means that someone can swipe up and they can go directly to a link through your stories. So that's one thing to consider if you have a larger social media presence. The other thing you can absolutely do is in your story, say that you have a link in your bio. So direct somebody in the same way you would with your posts to the link in your bio at the top of your account there. Stories, again, get more viewership than grid posts. You usually get more eyeballs on your stories because people tend to just shoot through them as a quick way to review what's going on in their, in the lives of the people they follow. So it is really good for generating buzz, for keeping yourself right in front of your audience all of the time. That's what I'd say the value of stories is, for sure. All right, a couple more questions here.
Yeah, Ruby was asking if LocalN has some built-in features that allow members to connect to Facebook, Instagram, and other social media. Not directly. In the platform, you do see an opportunity when you go to View Store and then My Store, and then you can get the link that is encouraged to share on your socials, but there's not yet any way to be able to post directly from within the platform directly to social. So it is a little bit more manual. Though, and in case anybody missed it, our devs are incredible, and we now have a feature where you can link directly to a product. So it doesn't have to be just generally your store all the time. If you want to post something to Facebook, since Instagram just has the one link, but something like Facebook or Twitter, you can get the link just for one product and then just post that, but nothing direct yet.
Yeah. So that's actually what most e-commerce sites do. So usually something like Later or Buffer or Hootsuite, that's what you're going to be using to batch post to your social media channels. That's it'd be cool if we did that too, but that's not really our lane, so to speak. But that feature, being able to directly link to a particular product, that is huge advantage, absolutely huge advantage. Because then if, for instance, you have something that you have on sale or that you're trying to move, you can directly link from your social media account to your online store, and someone can click twice and be in front of a buy button, be in front of the button that says add to cart and purchase. So that's the goal at the end of the day, is to drive someone from your social to your online store to buying, to converting. So that's the way that we see it. I'm going to answer this question. Could you be on TikTok and not on any other social media? Sure. You can do pretty much whatever you feel is effective for your business. I would suggest maybe being on one other that you can add a little bit more to in terms of linking back to your business. But Norma, if you want to be a TikTok star, I believe in you. I go for it and I will follow you. Absolutely. And then last question here, can you talk more about linking? i.e., do you recommend something like Linktree on Instagram to link Facebook, Twitter, Etsy, TikTok, online store, etc.? I'll lob this one to you, Katrina.
Yeah, you can do, I mean, you can use Linktree specifically. Again, I guess it just depends on what you want or where you want people to go. So I don't know that I would put your other socials in a Linktree. You totally could. I think if you wanted to just encourage people to kind of buy from you or go to your website, then I would just recommend putting that one link. If you have, a website where your online store is embedded and you have your socials on the website, you could do that. You can do like a custom landing page on your website that maybe, has different ways to link people. Yeah, I don't know if I would, again, I guess it just depends what actions you want people to take. I don't know if I would recommend, if it were me, I would want people to be like super direct. I don't want anybody to get lost or, oh, wow, I was going to go buy something and now, but they have Facebook and I might want to go see what they have on TikTok. I guess that's just my opinion. I don't know. Would you say the same, Katie?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Linktree or link in bio, which is something that later the platform that we use to schedule uses. It does get a little bit confusing if you have other platforms in there, but what you can do is just link to the same content on your Facebook so that you're driving everybody who engages with, let's say, your social media post that week, all to kind of the same end goal. So if your end goal is to drive them towards a product that you have on sale, just make that the subject of all of your posts, including whatever you put on your Linktree, which links to your Instagram. So that would be my suggestion there. Going to address a quick one for Lee here. It used to be that if you used a scheduling platform, you didn't get as much reach as if you posted each separately. Is that still the case? That is not the case. It was never the case. There's no favoritism, so to speak. And in part two, we're going to talk a little bit more about the so-called algorithm and how that favors posts and how to leverage it and how to play nicely with it. But no, that's not true. Scheduling is just scheduling. The way that those apps and platforms interact with the different social media apps in the system, it looks like if you posted it directly. So there's no favoritism, there's no nothing there. So don't be afraid to use scheduling platforms. And then Ruby here says, will you be doing live demo on how to use the more popular social media effectively? That is a great suggestion. We're hoping to have some time today to do that. I think we're going to have to cut that short, but what we can do, and this is a great idea, is we can probably in our follow-up email link a couple of quick screen shares so that you can actually see what it's like to quickly post something on Instagram, Facebook, and then we'll include stories as well, because that's been a big topic today. So yeah, really looking forward to sharing that with you. We'll do a couple of quick screen shares for you there, Ruby, and pop those in to the follow-up email. All right, so we're going to wrap it up, folks. Thank you so much for tracking with us today. We have these great resources. I'm going to flip this over to Katrina just to quickly go through these. Stick with us. We've got some info for you.
Yes, I mentioned we kept talking about this social media essentials for farmers. You may have already downloaded it, but if not, we are going to include the link, like download or form submission required. We'll just hand it right to you, the link, so you can get that right to your inbox. Our Local Line members Facebook group, if you're not already a part of that, it's a community of like local line users. And so if you have a question about your store, or you want to know, what do you charge for a repackaging fee, or how do I incorporate, delivery fees, anything like that that's specific to your online business, totally flip that over to other users and they can jump in and answer. And we pop things in there too, and some, any webinars, whatever we do, try and post there. And I make it a point to post to the group first. And so our users will get that information ahead of the time from our regular socials. And speaking of our socials, our Instagram is the main platform that we do use. We are on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok a little bit, but any information about upcoming webinars, new guides, new products, you will get that right on Instagram. So I recommend that you follow us if you aren't already, and all these links will include in that follow-up email. And then we've got some upcoming events or some upcoming webinars as well. So tomorrow morning, actually, I'm going to be on Instagram Live with Molly Ballant from Farmhouse Creative Marketing. So she's going to jump on. So what she does is, social media for farmers, but other small small business creators and local producers. So she's going to jump on and give some top tips for Instagram, specifically focused on hashtags. And then she has a hashtag guide that she's going to be launching as well. I'm going to post that in our Facebook group first before we kind of share it out to anybody else. So if you do want to get your hands on that guide, I recommend that you kind of join our live and then kind of join the group, not kind of join the group and you get the get that guide. Our next webinar is next Thursday at 3 p.m. So we're going to be talking about how to leverage online payments to grow your business and kind of like sales. We've got our sales guru with us, Chris Walker. And then the part 2 of our social media series is on June 2nd. I don't know if that's Wednesday or Thursday, but it's also at 3 p.m. So that's
it's a Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to do that Wednesday, June 2nd. Also catch on our Instagram. Chris is going to be joining us on our next webinar. He's got Top Tip Tuesday where he's giving some advice there as well. So if you want to kind of check out how IGTV works, which we'll be talking about on our next webinar, check that out on our Instagram. Well, thanks everyone for checking this out today. We're so glad that you could join us. And like I said, follow-up email is going to be out in the next 24 hours to you. Otherwise, feel free to poke around on our social channels and see what we've got there. We have some great examples of content, and then check out our guides, which are all available on our website for download. So thanks again, and looking forward to the next one.
Bye, everyone.